We're live. We
We're
are
live.
live. So, Paula, what are we doing today?
We're going to talk about cover art or logos for a brand new show that, you're watching. So, this is fun.
So, I'm looking, by the way, it says there's already a comment. Oh, that says that was me saying, hey, we're here and about to start. But oh, we are. Okay, it's all working. This is a new setup. We are using. So, part of what we want to do is Paula and I have both been in this business of content creation for clients for years. And so, we thought it would be fun, not just to start our own show, but to kind of open the curtain and explain how we're doing it. And so today we're going to talk about show art. Yesterday we talked a lot about names and we dug into the thesaurus. And so right now we're using StreamYard. I thought I would share that. And it's streaming to YouTube. And today I have it also going to the Facebook group. We might adjust that. Anything else you think people should know about what we're doing before we dig into the fun part that's coming?
No, what we're about to do is we're just going to share some art. We both went to Fiverr with $100 and we did what we needed to do to get some cover art or logos. We haven't seen each other yet, so this is going to be
Yeah,
good.
this is gonna be good. So we each have, we were able to divide up the budgets however we wanted, and both of us did 4 or 5 different buys with that $100. So I think maybe we just jump in, start sharing slides, and then we talk about the process and how we think about what works and what doesn't. Do you wanna go first, Paula?
Sure. And this is brand new. I've loaded up PowerPoint, just kind of behind the scenes to StreamYard. Look, there it is. Oh
Oh
my
god,
gosh.
this is small, I can't see it.
You
Okay,
can't see
glasses
it.
on.
Okay.
Alright.
So for my first one, I went with a $10 purchase. And I think we both probably did this. I went and I'll explain a little bit more how I divided my cash in a bit, but this was $10 and I like the idea because this person has some imagery where she's got more than one person in and this is for cover art, right? It says podcast cover art or podcast logo design. So I thought this should be interesting because I would like one that had both of us in it. So
Yes.
um I'm just going to go to the next slide.
Okay.
The other
So
part of the brief with this person was I should have led this up before I just showed it. Was we are 2 female podcasting slash content creating hosts, and we're starting a new show. And I wanted something that kind of reflected that we're a little like we're different. This is a male dominated field often, and that I'd like to have us both in the art, and that I didn't really want any microphones or headphones in it just because that's an
wait, you
overused item.
specified all those things that you
I
wanted
did.
both of us
And
in it
this, my
and no
friends,
microphones or headphones.
is what I got back. They also offered a second version. I'm just gonna keep looking out the window as I put these up. And mise en scène or like, a person that's like so film studies, but like or a version that showed it in placement. Okay.
Yes. So,
Obviously wildly disappointing. Marion, what is your opinion here?
well, so I mean, it doesn't look bad, right? I mean, like the design is okay, but it's completely missed the brief. And
It
I
has.
think that's one of the things we wanted to talk about too. So, in mine, I did not really think about the brief. And I think if we did this test again, I would say let's get the same brief and dial that in and submit it.
Mhm.
So I'm going to share my first one,
Please do.
and then we can compare a little bit.
Do I need to okay, you've
So
got it.
okay, so first this was I did a little slide to just show how I divvied up the money, and so obviously I don't wanna say you get what you pay for because there's some very talented people, but I think that Fiverr I had a designer ask me about Fiverr the other day, and I was thinking, it's a great place if you're willing to take a risk or a gamble
Mhm.
because, for the $100 I put out, I got 5 different artists working on it,
Yeah.
and, you know, even a graphic designer is gonna cost me more than $100, so it's kind of like it's a gamble. But if you want real comprehensive design strategy and you wanna be able to go back to the person, make changes, you've got a logo, then you wanna go back for show art, then you want,
Yeah.
elements that match with that. You wanna build a relationship with someone that knows you. Obviously, this is not that solution. This is great for a quick one-off where you're willing to take a risk and see what you get, right?
Fully agree. Yes.
Alright, so my first one, okay, I literally did a search for this one for designers that would do vector art for under $10. That was my main criteria. I kinda liked the cat labs. I thought that was pretty
I
cool. I
did
was like,
too. I
"Okay,
like that a
that's
lot.
fun." Okay, so this is what we got. And I think my brief was like I th
I'm sorry,
okay,
I
you're
will
making me
stop.
laugh too hard. I think my brief was, like, along the lines of, it's serious professional information, but with a touch of fun. So, that's reasonable. I mean, they executed on that brief.
They really did. They nailed it.
They nailed it. By the way, we haven't set on the name, so we may have to change some of these.
Yeah, we
And
kinda both
this
went with this name, and then I'll jump in, and you'll see my next one. I actually did go back to see if a couple of these people would make a version that had more words, basically, just
yeah,
to see if
yeah.
it extended, but I d
And by the way, if you're listening or watching live, I would love to hear any feedback on any of these designs or any
yes,
questions. And so,
yes,
we want to also make this informative. And so, although there's some hilarious designs and some good designs, I think
right,
number one would be going into the process, no matter who you're using, thinking about not only what's what is the text of the image, but also, things like Paula had a brief that said, I don't want microphones, right? Or you might want microphones and headsets, or, are there visual elements that are important? Are there colors that are important? Are there words that are important? Is there mood or tone? Are there examples of similar work that inspires you? All those things you
yeah,
should be thinking about before you hire someone, whether it's on Fiverr or anywhere else, right?
totally agree, yeah. Well, and my thinking on how I divided up my cash was I really did want one that had our faces on it, which I got half of. And I'll show you the other one tiny thing that
Yeah.
really bugs me about it, but in a second. But so one with our faces, because I think it kind of depends on your brand, but sometimes if you are the face of a brand, like a Martha Stewart, you want people to know who you are. And I think that's a
Right.
great move for people like life coaches or doctors, or you're the person that if you're starting a business, they will eventually speak to. So that's
Right.
one reason to put faces on your podcast
It's
cover
like the
art.
old the old Tim Ferriss move. When he first started his podcast, he wanted to get known in the Hollywood community, and
Yeah.
so he literally bought ads with his face and targeted those people so that when he went into the meetings,
Yeah.
they would think he looked familiar or was well known.
That's impressive. I like that
Yeah.
a lot. That's funny. I like Tim Ferriss for some things, yeah. So then the other 2 that I went for is kind of a bold, text-based graphic, and then the last one that you'll see from me, I wanted a logo, like
Oh, you are
and
more strategic than I was in this. Okay. I'm
well,
ready.
who
I wanna
knows?
see your next one because I know we
Yeah,
wanna
I
try to.
wanna share this though
Yeah.
first. I'm gonna show you the one thing that bugs the crud out of me. They when they did the cut of this, they removed the background. Look at this. My earring looks green in the middle. It's because they could not pull out the green back. Like, it's that level of expertise, and I think there's that thing where this was
But it was
$10.
$10,
Yeah,
right.
and
I mean, how much
it
time
truly is
can
an
someone
interesting
spend?
idea.
Yeah, right.
So there's that. Here comes the here, where's this person? So this is the one that I wanted to invest, and I went with 3 off Fiverr, and then you'll see one that I did, just to see what happens on Canva, but, so this one I went for 30 bucks because I thought, "Let's try this if we put a lot more, more than double towards
Yeah.
what we're doing here." And I did like that there was, like, some kind of interesting lighting here. This person's good with, like, text heavy, and so this is what I got back.
Okay.
I I I mean, I don't know. It'd be good. So from another thing to consider when you're looking at specifically podcast cover art
Did you
is
submit colors? Your
No.
colors?
Well, I
Okay.
said pinks and darker colors would be fine, but I
Okay.
didn't want it to skew totally feminine because I
Right.
think there's that other thing, like, we wanna be, whatever, somebody might be interested, doesn't matter what their gender is or how they
Right,
identify,
right,
like, that we don't want it to look like this is just for women.
right, right,
So, I like this, and but about thumbnails for podcast cover art, you do want something, and I even will do this where I take a screenshot of whatever category a client
mm,
is gonna be in, and then drop the thumbnail in somewhere. One, "Oh my
yeah,
gosh, look, you're in the top 10." Just for a minute, it's kind of fun to see it. But you also can see, does this pop? Does
right,
this have any presence on a page? Because lots of
yeah,
times, I think the thing that we see, especially in some Facebook groups, people make the copy tiny, and then you cannot read it amongst the others. So
right,
this is interesting, and it's sparkly and kind of fun, and it has both of our names, as
right.
opposed to our
But it's
faces.
not like, a showstopper, right? I mean, it's fine.
Yeah,
It's
it
adequate, as we
delivers.
said. This would be a good good show art for the if we had chosen the name adequate podcasting content creators. It's adequate.
And then they showed me a version that had an extra, I guess this is an extra line, is that right? Not really, but just if we've
Okay.
swapped,
Yep.
I think it
Yep.
holds together just fine.
It's fine.
Yeah, like, it'd work, it's passable.
All right. Can I jump to my next one? This is like Christmas morning when you wanna give the gifts, I'm
Oh,
like, "I
I
wanna
know,
go
I know.
next. I wanna go next." Okay. So
I
this
like
one,
this. I like
this
this kind of
yeah. So this was another
schematics here.
another $10, and I saw that image, the black bison, and I was like, "Wow, if they could do something like that for us, really simple, really clean," right? And so in the brief, I even mentioned that that was the image that had attracted me to this. Again, this was a $10 job, so this is what we got.
So similar to the last one.
Right. This was the best. They sent me 3, um, and none of this was the best of the 3, basically, that I went ahead with.
Yeah.
So
And looking at it graphically, like, to me, the really I mean, it's not bad and it's not great, right? But
right, it's
it's so
adequate.
bizarre that they chose to highlight just the pill part of the mic, the and the
Yes.
width. Like, why are those the
Those are the
3?
emphasized elements.
Like, those are literally not the most important parts of these images.
So I'm gonna just because I wanna keep it moving, I'm gonna go to the
Yeah.
next one. Okay, so
Please.
this time I splurged. I went for the $15,
Yeah.
okay? And again, I did all logos. You did some show art. I did all logos.
Yeah.
And by the way, if you're watching or listening, either now or later, we would love to know if you've done Fiverr, if you have kind of tips or tricks for getting the most out of Fiverr, but also if you like or dislike any of these designs so far. So I emphasized, I decided in some of the briefs to throw in the bird tracks element.
Yes.
And I said, "I would love something with a bird. There's 2 hosts." I just explained it. I actually love these.
I really do too. And this is interesting because I feel like when you open the door a little, and it's very easy, I think, for any designer to be like, "Okay, well, they want this. This is what's expected." Meaning our even our
Right.
last 2, like, "Oh, here's this,
It's a microphone because they don't
headphone, a
know us.
microphone." But
That's all they know
this,
about us, right?
I
And
mean,
so
I
the
kind
brief
of love this one. I don't know if we're all on the same side, but the
yeah,
circle with the yellow, I kinda
yeah.
love that one. I don't know why a bird would be taking off with a microphone, but
Or
it's
is it sitting on the
cute.
microphone? It is cute.
Right?
And this design included revisions.
Mm,
So the bird had this goofy baseball hat in the first one, and I was like, "I don't like the hat." And the one on the microphone looked more like a pigeon. I was like, "I don't like the bird." And they went in and they made those appropriate changes.
that's a
And
good
yeah, and the brief is a lot of it. So I did give the colors, which were orange, which were, like I said, Twitter blue, bright yellow, and then I said, "If you need another color, the orange."
mhm.
I said birds, yes, and I said it should be easily superimposed over video. So I think that Content and Podcasting Weekly, the one on my right, the one with the yellow circle is actually a pretty good for 15 bucks, that's pretty good.
Yeah, and this feels unique. I mean,
Yeah,
that was another thing that I saw that I know we emailed about a little bit, is I saw some of these when I got into the fine print on Fiverr of some of these, they tell you they are not actually unique. Some of these $10 version ones, they're
Right.
actually, they admit they're using a template. So if you
Well, and
want a
you can't
unique
really expect
design,
for
oh,
$10,
sure,
right?
sure. It just
To
means that
someone
you may see the exact same design up next to yours
right.
in the leaderboard at some point. So I think it's good to dig in and notice that. Another one said that you wouldn't actually have the copyright to the imagery, and I'm like, I don't know if that's actually possible
And then
unless they
the
didn't buy the copyright to the imagery.
or they didn't create it, or
Yeah, I don't
like
but
it's one of those clip art things that you're not allowed to resell.
yes. But
But
I
have you
love this
noticed
one very much.
from the old production days, we would buy library music and you would put, this music
Yep.
on your coffee roaster commercial, and then you would see it in like a perfume commercial on TV the next month. And you would see, I would
Yeah.
recognize the certain songs that were used over and over again, but the general
Yes.
public didn't usually notice.
Yeah.
All right. So, yeah, we both like the yellow circle. I like the orange microphone too with the bird talking into it. I think
Yeah,
that
I mean, I
was
feel
really
like they
good.
could both be used kind of well, because here's another thing to consider is when you're looking at logos, is a circle, which my own not to push my own show, but Jumpstart Your Joy has been a circle. There are a
Yeah.
certain amount of challenges that come with only having a version that's in a circle because if you have a long vertical space, then it is tiny. It
Right.
takes up different kind of spaces. So I think it's really smart that this person also offered a vertical and something that's more of a
Right.
lockup. So
So
I
I'm
think it
thinking
yeah.
we're like 15 minutes into this, and I know we want to keep it to about a half an hour. So I'm thinking, how about we keep going through all the designs and then we do kind of a recap and see
Yeah,
which
let's
ones
do it.
are our
Yeah.
favorite. So you're up next.
Okay. I think this was my big money, $50.
Oh wow.
Yeah, but this was the one that I wanted to look at a, a logo. Like, I wanted someone to spend some time with a little bit of logo design, and I figured that might be an interesting thing to have done. So, here is what we got.
Did you submit
And
colors for this one?
no, but if you if you see, this is
Yeah.
very similar to kind of what they do. So,
Right.
there's this one, and they were very kind at $50. I think it was a price point item as well. It was they also
Hmm.
offered a
Boy,
different
it looks so
color,
different, doesn't I mean,
doesn't
that's
it?
like my complete response to this design changed 100%.
Yeah.
E And I should know better, right? That it's just the colors in the background, but
Yeah.
I feel completely differently about the 2
Yeah,
of
this
these.
feels very neon 80s. Like, it's kinda got a male masculine energy to it, but then you flip it and it's just a white background,
It's fun.
same elements, and
It's
it
kinda
it feels
fun.
different.
Yeah.
Then I said, "Well, could you change
Ooh,
some of the font?" I kinda like this, it goes a little more 80s.
and looks more neon-y, right?
Yeah. And I mean, and I'm sure they could do it so that it's the flip of the colors too
Yeah,
if that's what we
yeah.
preferred. And then a little more like, how do you stack more copy on
Mm,
it?
yeah.
So, I think that ooh,
That's
there's a bonus.
interesting. Bonus. Okay, we'll do
And
mine
can
and
I
then we'll do
just
your
say what I
bonus.
really
Yeah.
love or are we gonna wait? We can wait about this one. Do you want me to
No,
say
go
what I
ahead,
love
say what
about
you
it?
love.
I love that this could be a thought bubble. It could be a
Mhm.
speech bubble.
Yeah.
It can also be a microphone, and there's 2 of them. So, this
Right.
feels nuanced at a level that the others were not. Like,
Yeah.
this feels
Yeah.
like there's some design thinking as to how do you play out the representation. 2 hosts, not just podcasting, but content. Like, I feel like there's a depth of thinking here that maybe $50 represents. Maybe
And
not.
and I really think if we do this again, the brief is so key. For
Mhm.
example, the whole bird element. I sent a lot of the briefs asked for inspiration or related images, and I was like, "I'm gonna send some bird pictures." So, that was part of my kind of
Yeah.
inspiration for the person.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's worth taking the risk, right, of being
Right,
like, "I
right.
don't know what they're gonna do with a bird, but let's see."
That is what Fiverr's great for, I think. Right? Because
Yeah.
it's a
Yeah.
very low level of commitment.
Yeah.
Alright, so we're back to these. So my next one, this was my big splurge, 25.
Mm.
And again, a lot of the reason I picked these people that I picked was because 'cause they're a little sample image. Like, I loved that little
Yeah,
image for
it's
some reason.
adorable.
So, it's adorable, right. So this was kind of interesting.
Hmm.
2 birds. Again, works to be superimposed over video.
Yeah.
Um, the mood isn't quite as fun. Then there's this one, which
I
I
do.
also kind of love. I
There
kind of
is some magic happening there.
I know, but but
Is this the
the
same designer as the previous?
no. Oh, yes.
Okay.
These are 2 this was like for my $30, I got 2 designs.
It's
So
nice.
these 2 are, actually $25. Now, as an image to be supered over video, this type is not great, right? Would be hard to read. It needs to be thicker or some kind of background on it. Um,
Yeah. I would say even just as a standalone logo, the previous that one, that there's something about the kerning or no, the other one,
yeah.
the
Oh,
kerning or the kerning, I guess, right?
right.
The space in between the letters,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that is very hard to read, but I
Yeah.
love the
The birds.
hilarious look of the birds. This is
I
good.
love the birds, right, talking into the mic.
Mhm. Very charming.
Very charming. Alright, let's see what you did in
Okay.
Canva.
And of course, so Canva, as everyone knows, like it is a free tool, or you can have. I have a business. I have a business license or whatever. So I don't know if everything is available, but they do have great templates. You could start there if you don't even have $5, and you could probably make a passable and adequate thing. Here's what I
Adequate is
made.
becoming our okay, that's pretty good.
Right. And I mean, so this was based partly on a template, but then I changed out the birds because you can do a search for all sorts of things. And I
Yeah,
just thought this was kind of sweet. Is it a little too sweet? I don't know.
maybe. The
Um,
eyelashes are maybe
yeah, and I don't know if they have a version without it. So
we could
that
probably Photoshop the eyelashes out.
yeah,
This is pretty good, Paula. You
right?
could definitely get a gig as a $10 graphic designer on Fiverr.
I think that's what it proves.
Right.
Well, and it also does beg the question of these folks, how many are going in and using templates that they aren't actually designing, which I mean,
Right. Oh, I
more
bet it's
power
most of
to
them.
them. There's
Right.
there's
It's
nothing
probably
wrong with
most
it.
of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, if you're doing it for $10 and but also there's some talented people. Like, so one
Yeah.
thing on Fiverr I have done is I love the Adobe Character Animate program, and you need a puppet for it. And I went into Fiverr and I paid someone to make me a puppet, and it had all the elements you needed to animate to oh, I think I have one more.
Okay.
Oh. So that was the 3rd design from that person. I forgot. So I have these
Oh,
3.
that's cute. I mean, I don't know. The bird has a look about him that I don't know that I trust him, but isn't
No,
that
but
interesting that that's pretty similar to the one that I just showed too? I mean, the
yes.
yellow.
Well, so I think there's also an element of, we didn't compare our briefs, but you and I both have our fondness for the Bird Tracks Collective, which we're members of, right?
Right. Yeah.
And, um, and we both have that sense of humor, and so I think we both and we had even built our Bird Tracks website with that kind of bird. So maybe
Right.
that influenced what we submitted for both of us.
Yes. I mean, I think it came into play, and I think there's also that thing of if you're working with a client, like I would not have approached if you were my client, we would have had a very specific written brief, creative
Yeah,
brief that then would have gone to each of like you're saying. But I
right.
think because there's kind of a mutual understanding perhaps of what our brand attributes would be if we had one and some of the imagery that we already like this wasn't too far of a stretch. And we did say, well, what coloring and stuff.
Yeah,
And I think
yeah,
I said, well, why don't we just try and pick colors that match both of ours? So, I mean, it was discussed, but I think as a producer, I would not have played this as loose
right.
with I was going to say a real
Although I
client,
could
but
see using this as a tool to sort of like take some early rough points from a brief
yeah,
or before a brief and just throw them out there, do a bunch of, $20 designs and just say like, okay, this is because a lot of clients need something to look at to
yeah,
formulate what they like and don't like. So this could actually be a great first step to say, okay, I hate birds, or I love the cartoon character, or this color, like the neon idea is not for me, or whatever that is. And then you could create a brief and hire a designer with a more informed process at
yeah.
that point.
Yeah. Well, and that's what I mean, my background being ad agencies, that's what we did a lot of, not that we worked with Fiverr, but that it would be really rough sketch art
Yeah,
that nobody spent a ton of time on and some copy that went with it. And that's definitely where the process started was here's 3 concepts. That's what they were called. What do you like of this?
right,
It's not like
right.
that's it, make all that. Like it's
Mhm.
then where do we go into a revision period where, we make a new version and usually it was a mashup, honestly, of
Right,
I like
right.
this and this and could you put them together? Um, yeah, so super
Maybe
interesting. You
you
could
could
do this.
talk for a minute or 2 before we wrap up and go through the designs again. Just what should be in a brief for a
What should
design
be
like
in a
this?
brief? Well, I mean, I think um well, good question. I mean, I think like a color palette, if you know you have one, or if your brand already has one, yes. Um, we always ran with something that was called a reason to believe, which was like it's a corny advertising term, but like that there was why would someone look at this and why would they be interested in it? Because you don't want to just put out art for art's sake. Like there needs to be a thinking behind it. And then I forget exactly what the advertising agency term was. Somebody will probably remember and put it in for me, but what's basically the key takeaway? Like when somebody interacts with whatever it is that you're about to create, what is their single-minded proposition? That's what it's called, the SMP. What is that? What are they going to take away from it? Like if you think about Apple ads, you're going to know, well, what it was the single-minded proposition. It's easy to
Right.
use an iPhone. And that's all that they're trying to communicate. And so then it's a matter of playing that out. And I think we could have done each of those things with our
And then
own
if you're a
art.
bigger brand, right, there's gonna be brand guidelines, like, there might be certain
Oh,
typefaces
for
that you
sure.
would only
Yeah.
use, certain color palettes. Another thing that can be really helpful is, just examples, like,
Mhm.
things in your industry that you like or don't like, or things out of your industry even that have the right feel or tone or color
Yeah.
that will help a designer. I mean, I think one of the things that's really evident in our first designs that have a microphone and a set of headphones is that's really all they know about us.
Yeah.
These designers, all they really know is that it's about podcasting, and so what is there to create imagery from? Well, a microphone and headphones. Whereas the more information you give the designer to play with, the more they can give you.
Yeah. Well, and I might also suggest that if what most of what you're seeing in someone on a Fiverr portfolio is they say they do podcast cover art and all you're seeing is microphones and headphones. The reason we're saying this is it's ubiquitous at this point,
Right,
right? Like
right.
no, it's not that there's anything wrong, but it doesn't actually add anything. We already know we're watching, no, we're sorry, we're listening to something
Well,
that
this
was recorded and we're listening to it in a headphone. Like there's nothing special about putting that in
and
cover
not
art.
only that, but it's really about context. Like you talked about putting that design in the lineup of podcast art. So if you're making an image that's going to go on your website and you're a company that does craft roasted coffee and you have a podcast, a microphone is a really good image to tell the people on your website that it's the podcast.
Yeah.
But if they're on the podcast app, a microphone says it's a podcast and like everything else is a podcast. So you want to show the coffee roasting there, right? So a
Yes.
lot of it is about where you imagine the image being placed. So
Right.
we have
Yeah.
I know we want to wrap up. So do you want to talk about what we're going to do tomorrow and then we'll do a quick run through of all the images?
Sure, sure. So tomorrow we're talking about music. What kind of music and maybe we can have a conversation behind the scenes too, you and I, but like which music are we matching this to? Because I think that makes a difference as well. We're going to talk about music. Intros, outros, probably like transitional pieces if you have a YouTube show, you aren't just talking about intros and outros and where we find it. And we
Yeah.
both are going to be looking in different places and then it's going to be a reveal again. We're going to share
And
the
this there
tunes.
is like no brief and no common ground. And
None.
like this could be like, we don't even really yeah, this is gonna be interesting. And so yesterday, there's the video about picking titles. We're gonna do this video, about music. Today was about imagery. And then I think we should do maybe next week's episode, talk about just how you structure a show, right?
Mhm.
Do we
Yeah.
need an outline? Do we need a show structure, run a show, all that stuff? But we'll
Mhm.
also then move into talking about news, spotlights of other podcasters, issues that podcasters and creators come up with, all that stuff. All right. Do you wanna run through your who should go first?
I mean, I can go if you want.
Go
Let
for
me
it.
the I'm just reloading. Okay. I think real briefly, I don't think this has any I mean, full transparency, I got a refund because this doesn't deliver on the brief whatsoever. Especially since I asked, I think this is why Fiverr gave it to me. Since I asked for no microphones and no headphones, I think they said, "Well, yeah, I mean, come on." And there's 2 people and they've put a picture of 1. So no, this doesn't work. I don't know that I don't know that the layout's bad. It's interesting, but
Yeah, the design is fine.
this one, I mean, feel free to weigh in. I think it's fine. I don't think it's magical or
Yeah.
really reflects us.
Yeah, and I don't feel like it's attention grabbing. Like, it's competent, good design. It's fine, but I probably wouldn't choose it because I want a
Yeah,
little more.
yeah. I think this color setup has merit,
Yep.
and this is actually my favorite of the ones I paid for.
Yeah.
I like the nuance. I'm sure we could go back and ask for different colors,
Right, and
and
or
I
adjust
think
the name as
yeah,
we talked about.
and I feel like it could also play vertical. Just stretch it out. Like, it doesn't have to be anything it's not, which I kind of love the simplicity.
Yeah,
So
I see that.
and I think I would go the other version, not this neon.
Right,
I see
I'm
where
with
they're
you there.
headed, but
Yeah,
and then I actually really like this. I mean, not just because I made it, but, like, I think it's sweet. I think
it
I
is
also
sweet.
missed a spacing thing here, but
And it is more attention grabbing, although I'm wondering if it looks like a relationship,
yeah,
show, you know?
yeah.
That would be my only question there. Although, I mean, it has the words "content and podcasting." Alright, let me go through mine real quick.
Mhm.
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
Oops. Wait,
Remove.
what?
Sorry. You're all good. I hit yeah.
Alright, so this one this one this one I do truly love, but I won't use. But but I do it is quite charming. I don't know.
It's funny. It's very sweet.
Alright, this one, no, not gonna use it.
Mhm.
Okay, I kind of love both of these,
Yeah, me too.
although I think, um, the other bird the one with 2 birds coming up makes more sense, but I like these colors, I like the simplicity. I like
Mhm.
the sort of line between fun and attention grabbing, but yet it's very clear kind of what this is about, right?
Yeah.
And then this I mean, the logo would work really well to super over again, over video, over whatever the images are. It's very, versatile. Um, it's a little the birds are a little too sweet and sleepy, maybe, if I'm getting
Yeah,
really
and it
particular.
feels a little bit like I don't wanna nitpick on anyone, really,
Yeah,
but it feels like it might be just 2 images that they put over another. It doesn't feel like they really fit. Like, the
right,
style of
right.
that microphone and those birds are different to me.
Yeah, yep, yep. And then this one, like, I just love and I could see taking that image of the
Mhm.
2 birds. I love the colors, I love their
Yes.
faces, I love it's 2 birds with a mic, um, and working on the type and the titling and what goes with it. But I could see that as a foundation for a winner
Oh,
for
me
me.
too. Well, and
And
to point
and
out
then this one,
on
is hilarious, but I
the
wouldn't use it.
previous one, let's just say, like or the middle one of this group.
This one.
Yeah, see, in the context here, a microphone and headphones work.
It
It's
does.
way beyond like, but that's not the only thing. So that's all I wanted to say is people are like, I could see someone going, but wait, they've got well, yes, there is.
So I think, we'll talk about it next time. I think we should do a contest, but we haven't worked out all the details, so I'm not gonna pitch that yet. But I
Yeah.
would love to know, let's call this one 2 birds and a microphone. Do you vote for 2 birds and a microphone? Or oh, wait, where's yours? Or do you vote for what should we call well, yours is 2 birds with a microphone. Canva, 2 birds with a microphone, Fiverr, 2 birds with a microphone, or the
Or
neon,
another one. Yeah.
that really great simple, classy one. I just love to know what you think of all of
Yeah.
these, and then, come back tomorrow and let us know, or you can find me at Mad Motion on all the socials, especially on Instagram or Twitter, and Paula, where do they find you?
I'm at Jumpstart Your Joy. Nearly everywhere. I mean, Jumpstart Joy or Jumpstart Your Joy. If your Twitter, it's a longer one,
So
but
we
yeah.
should probably have that. But actually, no, the easiest way is just to comment, put something in the YouTube comments, wherever you're
Yeah,
watching this, and
comment
let us
below.
know what you think. And it's good practice because tomorrow we're going to do a contest and we're going to have a giveaway, and it will be based on the comments on the designs and music.
Yes.
All right.
But I bet they need to be subscribed to our YouTube channel to be
Oh,
considered to
for
win.
sure to win. All right. We'll
So,
see you
better
tomorrow.
hit that subscribe, that like and
Hit
subscribe.
that, please, please. We're a new show. Come on, people.
And we're showing you this.